Okay, folks, here's some good news. If it weren't for Mike Waltz getting fired, this would have started the show on a good foot because, of course, Columbia student who was arrested at citizenship interview is freed. That's right. Mohsen Mahdawi had been an organizer of pro-Palestinian protests at the university. The Trump administration is trying to deport him for it. Mohsen Mahdawi, an organizer of the pro-Palestinian movement at Columbia University, was freed from federal custody on Wednesday, more than 2 weeks after immigration officials detained him and sought to rescind his green card as part of a widening crackdown against student protesters. In releasing Mr. Mahdawi on bail, Judge Jeffrey W. Crawford, of federal district court in Vermont, drew parallels between the current political climate and McCarthyism. I watched Jimmy and Kurt talk about this. Kurt had a good line. He says, "This is not McCarthyism. This is Milikowskiism." I like that one. That was good. Well done. Milikowskiism. I wanted to steal that. I thought I should steal that, but give credit. This is not the first time that the nation has seen chilling action by the government intended to shut down debate, Judge Crawford said. The release of Mr. Mahdawi, a permanent legal resident, is a defeat for the Trump administration, though it does not mean the end of the federal government's action against him. His immigration case will continue, but he will be able to fight it from outside a detention facility. Once again, my friend, I say this with all love and all respect and with full acknowledgement of your right to handle this however you want. If I were you, I'd find a nice place to settle down far away from here and head on out. That's what I would do. You have the right to be here, in my opinion. You do whatever you want, but for your sake, I would say go to a place that's more welcoming because this place sucks. That's me. That's your call, obviously. Mm-hmm. And here he is.
Costa Rica is lovely, and it's not
exactly.
I mean,
you just go to a nice place with nice people. Like what do we have here? Do you need to be here for? Go someplace nice. You know. I mean, I say that with, like I said, I mean the best for you. You have the right to be here if you want, but
I don't think they have unlimited salad bars other places. There is that.
We don't even have that too many places here. Most of the Ponderosas are out of business.
That's true.
Yeah. And Wendy's got rid of their salad bar 20 years ago. Anyway, here he is coming out of the courthouse here. So a beautiful show of support outside the courthouse, and he made some brief remarks, gave some brief remarks to the crowd as well. To President Trump and his cabinet, I am not afraid of you.
We will not fear anyone because our fight is a fight for love, is a fight for democracy, is a fight for humanity.
Amen.
And I am saying it clear and loud.
Yes.
To President Trump and his cabinet.
Yes.
I am not afraid of you.
Peace.
Good for him. Good for him. And good for everybody there. Tricia McLaughlin, a spokeswoman for the Department of Homeland Security, denounced Judge Crawford's decision in a post on social media. When you advocate for violence, glorify and support terrorists that relish the killings of Americans and harass Jews, that privilege should be revoked and you should not be in this country, Ms. McLaughlin said, without offering any evidence to support her accusations. Not only is there no evidence to support her accusations, in his case, there's plenty of evidence to the contrary. He is amongst the most moderate and conciliatory of those involved in this movement. We talked about when we showed the 60 Minutes interview in the segment we did when he was detained about how he has a lot of empathy for people on both sides of the conflict. I mean, he is one of the very few who go out of their way on a consistent basis to emphasize empathy for Israeli civilians, hostages, children on both sides of the conflict. And here he is. He was paid a visit while he was in jail by Vermont Senator Peter Welch. We have an excerpt of this to show you.
Also, Secretary Rubio said you're a threat to foreign policy. Can you just tell us what you were hoping for and how you've worked with some of your Jewish brothers and sisters as well as Muslim brothers and sisters?
My activism, so they are basically, he is describing being anti-war as anti-Semitic. How could that be possible when most of my partners at Columbia's campus and beyond are Jews and Israelis? My work has been centered on peacemaking. And all what I am doing, I am being a human. My empathy, as I mentioned before, extends beyond the Palestinian people. And my empathy extends to the Jews and to the Israelis. And my hope and my dream is to see this conflict, if one might say, to see an end to the war and end to the killing, to see a peaceful resolution between Palestinians and Israelis. How could this be a threat to anybody except the war machine that is feeding this?
It would be good for everybody, for us to have peace.
Yeah. So, look, that line is the line they use against all protesters, and it's especially untrue in his case. In granting the release of Mr. Mahdawi, Judge Crawford cited his extensive ties to the community and said he did not pose a danger to the public. Obviously, he noted the court had received more than 90 submissions from community members, academic experts, and professors who know Mr. Mahdawi, many of them Jewish, attesting to his character and consistently describing him as peaceful. The judge also spoke of the extraordinary circumstances of Mr. Mahdawi's detention and the present moment in history. Judge Crawford's Burlington courtroom was packed on Wednesday with supporters of Mr. Mahdawi, who remained hushed as the judge issued his order. A few began clapping as Mr. Mahdawi was allowed to collect his belongings and leave immediately. So a great story, not only that he is out of detention, but what's also encouraging about this is that, as black-pilled as many of us have become over the past year and change, what you see here is an example of public sentiment seeming to have influenced the judge. In that article, it mentions how the judge was inundated with letters and expressions of support for this guy, saying he's, of course, not a threat to anybody. He's perfectly peaceful. And they obviously showed up to support him in the courtroom. And I have to think that made a difference. And so that should be encouraging to people as well. The project of justice for Palestine is going to be a long one, but it is a battle we will win. There will be justice for this. The Israeli state is not going to be able to function as it does for much longer. They're already experiencing a major brain drain, a major resource drain, and that will continue as long as
ports
public
closing, bankruptcies.
Yeah, exactly, and that will continue as long as public sentiment, both here and around the world, continues to turn against them. And so I do think while it can look and feel and sound very hopeless at times, it is important to know that victories like this are possible and they matter. They add up. You send a letter to a judge on behalf of this guy, that's a win. Whether he chooses to stay or leave is his call. I made my recommendation, but good to see him free. Good to see pressure applied. Good to see pressure work. Good to see a judge actually stand up and do the right thing. So a good story overall for now, at least.
When you look at how senseless who they're rounding up is, it's very clear that they just got lists from Zionist organizations, from Miriam Adelson, from Bazaar, that's their name?
Betar.
Yep. They just got lists. One day it's going to come out. One day the books will be written, and you're going to find out that they were literally given lists by these organizations because there's no rhyme and reason to it.
Right.
Like if you want to seem like you're just rounding up people who are siding with terrorists, why would you grab somebody who is such an implausible figure to put that label on? And I do think you're right about this and about a lot of other things. Look, this administration has turned public opinion against itself in an incredibly fast time. Within the first 100 days, they've collapsed even on support for their immigration policies.
Yep.
The most hopeful thing I see out there is that, yeah, judges are ruling against them and the public is turning against them very fast. We should thank our lucky stars that this is an administration of crackpots, weirdos, incompetents, and losers, or we'd be in real trouble. They're doing such a bad job of fascism that it's making people say, hang on a second. I don't want this. That's the most hopeful thing going on in the country right now.
100%. 100%. And, it is good to see that the judiciary seems to be stepping up, including,
Yeah.
not necessarily in this case yet, but including Amy Coney Barrett, who's one of those conservative judges. If she decided she was just going to be a rubber stamp, man, that would do a lot of damage. That would do a lot of damage. But so far, there seem to be people along the way who are doing what they can, and the public seems to be waking up to things. Unfortunately, it takes an economic crisis to wake people up. I wish that weren't the case. Part of why we do this show is so that's not the case. You have to build education. You have to build consciousness. You have to build awareness around these issues and build, hopefully, a certain revolutionary energy. But in the short term, when the economy goes south is when people's eyes start to open up. And that's happening now. These tariffs were a major turning point.
Next week to 2 weeks, they say the shelves are going to start to empty. And it's too late to do anything about it. You could stop the tariffs today. Those ships already left China empty. Too late.
Please clap.